Hi, my name is Anna Moore. This is my homework. It is exercise 5.2 for my English skills development class. Here we go.
My name is Ed Perkin. I was born on January 9th, 1972 to two British people who were living in South Africa at the time.
Hi, I was born to two British folks who were living in South Africa at the time. My name's Ed Perkins. I was born in 1972.
They were there on business, so I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. I lived there for 9 months before my parents returned to England, where I grew up.
I lived in Johannesburg for a short period of time after my birth, before my parents moved back to England, and it was just for business. Short trip, only about 9 months.
I lived in England and went to school for my first couple of years at school till about age 7, and then we came to America.
I only lived in England for a short period of time, about till I was about age 7, and I went to school there, and then we moved to America. Not long after.
My father decided he wanted to live in Houston because at that time in the late 70s, that was the boom town because of all the oil business.
We moved to Houston. There was a lot of oil commerce going on, and so that's why my father decided to move us there.
And we lived there for about 3 years before we moved out here to San Diego.
We only lived there for about 3 years before we moved out to San Diego.
And we've been living in San Diego ever since, with the exception of when I went to college.
I lived in San Diego for most of my life before I went to college. Yeah.
I think that my life has been affected quite a bit by all this moving around because I never really spent more than about 2 years at any one school.
I think there's been many influences in my life, but the most particular one was the fact that I moved around from different schools and for most of my life.
I spent about 2 years, as I said, in England.
I only spent about 2 years in England.
Then we moved to Houston, where I spent 1 year at one school, and we moved across town, so I attended another elementary school for about a year and a half.
I spent a short time, only about a year, at one elementary school, and then we moved to another, and this was in England.
At that point, we came to San Diego. I was in the 5th grade at that time, and I spent all of the 5th grade and most of the 6th grade at a school in Scripps Ranch, which is a suburb of San Diego.
In Scripps Ranch in San Diego, we moved there, and I spent most of my 4th and 5th grade and went there, and then we changed and went to a different school for 5th grade and 6th. It was really interesting when I was going from elementary to middle school, because not only did I not change from the going from elementary to middle, but um, I also changed school zones as well.
And I was there for slightly over 2 years before I went to high school.
Just before high school, I stayed at that one place for only about that one school for only 2 years, and then I went to high school.
My parents then decided it was time to move again, so we moved across town where I attended a different high school. And I was there for my last 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school, before going to college.
For my last 2 years of high school, my parents, or just before my last 2 years of high school, my parents decided to move again. So junior and senior year, I went to another school. Yeah.
So college was really the first time that I spent a full 4 years at any one school, and I find that I made most of the friends that I have now at college probably for that reason.
Most of the people I know and the friends that I have, I gained while I was in college, because that was the place that I stayed at longest, the full 4 years of school. The end. Um, Thank you. Homework number 5.2 for English skills development. Anna Moore.